Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Okay, under business items, consider an approved ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2022-23 annual operating budget and appropriating said funds. And a record vote is required for the driving body.
Yay. Yay? We're doing a single vote?
Well, you need a motion first.
Motion to approve. Second.
Michael Paul. A motion second, any discussion? Okay, we do need a record vote, so, Michael Paul, where do you stand?
Yay.
Yay? Writing them down.
Yes.
Ready, Thompson?
Yay.
Gus?
Nay.
Nay. Chris?
Yay.
Loud? Monty?
Nay.
Okay. Motion passes 3-2. Ratification vote to adopt fiscal budget 2022-23 that will raise total property tax revenue. The actual fiscal budget that we have before us will not raise property revenue, but we're looking at two budgets here. The cemetery tax possibly might, so it takes a ratification vote to do so. This is a motion last year, and it was in September, was offered for us, and none of us knew exactly what it was supposed to do, and Lori had a year later came and explained what it was supposed to do the next meeting, and we had to pass it just because it may possibly raise any revenue. Am I right?
That's correct. I mean, under the local government code, chapter 102, if there's a possibility of a raise in revenue, then we have to have a separate ratification.
Motion to approve. Second.
The motion second, any discussion? Okay, a record vote is taken here also. Mike Paul?
Yay.
Mr. Thompson?
Yeah.
Michelle?
Nay.
Mr. Paul?
Yay.
Mr. Monty?
Nay.
Motion passes 3-2. Consider an approved ordinance for 2022 certified appraisal roll to adopt and levy the ad valorem tax rate for the fiscal year 2022 to 23 for maintenance and operation of the Overton Municipal Cemetery for the 2022 tax year.
Motion approved.
You have a second?
Second.
Have a motion second, is there any discussion? Okay, we need a record vote on this also, Mike Paul,
Yay.
Mr. Thompson,
Yeah.
okay, okay, make sure I heard it right. Ms. Hill,
Nay.
Ms. Hall,
Yay.
Mr. Ward,
Nay.
okay, motion passes 3-2. Consider an approved ordinance for the 2022 certified appraisal roll to adopt and levy ad valorem tax rate for fiscal year 2022-2023 for maintenance and operation and interest seeking fund of the City of Overton 2022 tax year. And the record vote is required here also. With the will of the body.
Motion approved.
You have a second? Any discussion? Have a motion second, any discussion? Okay, Mike Ball,
Yay.
Thompson? Ms. Hill?
Nay.
Mr. Hall?
Yay.
Mr. Ward?
Nay.
Motion passes 3-2. Consider and approve OEDC project for a new 6-inch water line around park. Approval needed. This is OEDC is voting to pay for this. Phase 1 Lake Shore, Phase 2 Pearl Street, Phase 4 Community Building to the golf course, and Phase 5 Meadowbrook. The council already voted to approve Phase 1 of this, I think it was 19,000 and something, 300 or something like that, I can't remember exact. But they decided while they were having someone to do it, let them do the whole project one time while they're on the field, and they'll get a better price. And the second thing was that, when we approved it the first time, or what they voted on the first time was a 2-inch pipe running around, and, decided to go to a 6-inch, to allow fire hydrants to be put at 2 fire hydrants right at the end. One fire hydrant.
One at Pearl, at the end of Pearl Street,
Right, one at the end of Pearl Street.
and, another reason is if the pool ever is able to get up and running, when you was filling the pool up back in the day, you couldn't, the neighborhood couldn't, their water spigots wouldn't pop off when they were trying to water their yard, or they'd lose pressure in their house. And, so that's another reason for the 6-inch. And another reason for the 6-inch, if ever what was you talking about earlier, Paul?
Oh, like having out there or whatever.
Yeah, complex center, whichever, or if the golf course is making a housing development, or whichever, you'd have the
Capacity for the.
to make sure you can handle that, whichever, so it's, there's 6-inch up to supposedly that's what our maps say. There is 6-inch up to Lake Shore, but then they went to 2-inch, everything else, so it's a record bottleneck deal.
And actually, that did have a Phase 3 on what they're doing with the larger pipe, that was cutting out one run that ran across, diagonally across there somewhere. That was a long distance.
It'll get the water pipes out of the roads. I mean, we're still gonna have water pipes going across the roads, but we'd actually get the water lines in the park and going up to the travel trailer park, and then we could come around Meadowbrook. And then we could get a smaller line right there connecting those, so we could get a keep a chlorine level stable. So we would do away with the 2-inch line going around Lake Shore to the golf course, because you would have those 6-inch lines right there at the golf course and travel trailer park, so you could save quite a bit of money, by doing that. And OEDC, they've approved spending up to $100,000. I feel like we can do it less than that, hope we can, but, you never know nowadays where you're at on that.
Make the motion approved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes 5-0. Discuss and approve closing Henderson Street from Russ Street to Commerce Street on October 8th, 2022 at 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. for Halloween Band Booster Bash requested by Roxanne Richards. Roxanne, would you like to comment on that?
I'm here on behalf of the Overton Mustang Band Boosters. This started out as a event of laser tag, hunting down zombies. It has turned into a little bit more than that. We've decided to make it a bigger event and invite most of East Texas and our neighboring communities. Kind of tagging on to what Promise said, we're trying to create an environment kind of taken out of Main Street's playbook of getting people intimately involved in the community. And you do that by creating such events. So what we're asking for is we want to close off 2 blocks of Overton, meaning that we want Henderson closed from Commerce Street to Rusk Street. That would be the area right in front of Texas Bank, right in front of La Hacienda and Kinema Square area. Basically, there's gonna be a pattern for people that wanna pay a fee to travel through buildings that are participating, and they will do laser tag with each other. There's also gonna be another component of this, and that's kind of like an escape room type of thing, where there's gonna be a riddle and puzzle for kids that don't wanna necessarily do laser tag, but still be involved, and more of a, puzzle solving type of thing. So we're gonna have 2 camps, one of them's gonna be in Kinema Square, the other one's gonna be behind the bank, and they'll be able to team up together and try to solve a solution by the end of the night. And we're also involving local businesses in this. Specifically, I haven't had a response yet, but there's one business where once these people solve the riddle, they will get a prize from that business. So there's still some things that are in the works, but basically, for your purposes tonight, we're asking that we be allowed to have this event on those 2 blocks that are on either side of Henderson. Does that make sense?
Anyone have any questions? Thank you very much. What would the body like to do?
Motion approved. Second.
Monty, was that you?
Yes, sir.
We have a motion second, any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay, motion passes 5-0.
Did Reggie raise his hand? Did Reggie raise his hand?
I did.
He
Okay,
did. He
okay.
did it quickly. I caught it.
Have to look fast.
Number G, discuss and approve monthly stipend for public works personal truck use.
This is for Rick Chastain. We had a work stipend for Dexter Dyke. He since has quit, due to a number of reasons, but just mainly just the lack of war out equipment to try to work with, and, not being able to perform our jobs like we should. But, this right here is is for his personal pickup, and then we also supply him gas. So we can either do that or buy him a new pickup, and I think it's a lot less money right now to the city to do the stipend.
I think Dexter was getting, $400 a month on his stipend. Talked to Rick and he'd really like to see about 500. Basically, one reason is he's going out of town, as long as you're wherever to pick up parts. He said, these trucks out here that we've had to put Band-Aids on are not even allowed to go on. He's afraid he's gonna break down, had to have a total bag, so that's the reason he's gonna use his personal truck.
Yeah, and as we have our, line breaks where we have to get the, water samples over to Animal Lab, I mean, you gotta go
Yeah.
field roll, and, you know, these pickups over here, it's not, I mean, you can kinda get around town here with it, but you don't need to be trying to go to field roll in or long.
Motion to approve.
Second.
For the 500? Okay, just wanna make sure. Have a motion, motion second, have a discussion?
Separate question.
Yes, sir.
I'm all about employees getting paid for using their personal vehicles, but, Mr. Westmont, I guess, have we thought about auctioning off the trucks that we have to see if we can get any proceeds off of them to put a plan in place maybe to eventually, not say purchase brand new vehicles, but, I know with auctions, because I'm all about
Right.
getting paid for using this personal truck. I just wonder, is there a plan, for us to maybe sell the ones that we have just to see what we can get?
We've got 2 that runs, that does not run. And, we've got we're trying to band-aid other stuff just to where we can operate.
Yes,
And
sir.
it's a daily, it's costly and it's it's a daily battle.
Yes, sir.
But, we've got we've got two vehicles back there that do not run, we've got a dump truck that we plan to get fixed. Cause it could be beneficial to us as far as pulling the mini X around.
Yes, sir.
We've got a, vacuum truck, slash jet truck back there that the motor's locked up in, water and oil, it can go, and the other two trucks can go. And then there's a backhoe back there that's gonna have to have a few $1,000 spent on it for tires.
Yes, sir.
And then it can be auctioned off, but all this stuff has to take, it's gotta take money,
Yes, sir.
and, that's kinda short supply.
Actually, we were just talking about just yesterday, having an auction or something. Chief pulled it good on his, $28,000.
Well,
There's a lot of equipment back there that needs to be auctioned on. Some of it just junk.
yeah, some of this is scrap, I mean, it's absolutely, but we can try to auction it, see what happens. But,
But right now, we need to,
the police department has running vehicles, I mean, we don't, the
Yes, sir.
city side does not.
any other discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, like sign, motion passes 5-0. Discuss and approve reimbursement of city manager for personal expenses incurred on city business.
This is for my gasoline or diesel, whichever I'm driving. I had an oil change in this month still. It comes to a total of $1,253. The last time that y'all approved this, it was over 2,000, but that was over 2 months worth. I put the dates on there where everybody could look at that the last time. But that was due to, we didn't have council at that time, so we had to wait for a while on that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second, any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, like sign.
One, Mayor.
Let me see. Motion passes 4-1. Discuss and approve dates, routes, and times for the Fall Fest and the Christmas Parade.
There's a lot of misunderstanding along with this Christmas parade and Fall Fest of who's doing it, who's not doing it. The Rotary Club has actually come to us and said they want to participate in helping with this event or hosting it, but then there's a lot of other people there's just a lot of different groups that's wanting to do this and claiming to do it. So I'm kinda in the dark on who's gonna do it.
The Rotary Club pulled out.
They pulled
Sheila,
out.
you gonna do it? Sheila, would you like to speak? I don't know whether that mic is working.
Rotary
Yeah,
Club
speak
is
up.
not.
They pulled out.
Really?
Chief, you mind checking that and see? I thought I saw the red. Yeah, I thought the light was flashing a minute ago.
I can say this, as far as Fall Fest and the Christmas parade, I'm not in on it. I'm out too.
Okay, I think the main thing was that whenever the chamber disbanded, there was some talk about who was gonna do the Christmas parade and who was gonna do the Fall Fest and anything else for the, community. And, like we had originally stated, that there would be a committee or a group of people that would be able to do this, and that's basically why I put this on the agenda.
Okay.
It's, once we, I sent an email out to you and Chief Poole.
Right, I've got it.
Yes, sir, given the dates and the times and the route and all that kind of stuff. Chief Poole recommended I put it on the agenda, and I figured that I would do that before anything was posted seeking help, because kind of putting the cart before the horse otherwise.
Does this group have a 501(c)(3)?
I don't know that they need one.
No.
I don't really know where a group of volunteers needs a 501(c)(3) or
Are you
501(c)(3).
accepting donations?
We are not.
No.
The plan is to, do, for the Fall Fest, they are gonna charge, from what I understand, there hasn't been any meetings or anything, so I don't know what exactly will be decided, I can't tell you. But I think the plan was to, charge $20 per booth like we've always done for Fall Fest. Put that money toward the Christmas parade in the, different prizes for the floats, best in show, for the judges, for the grand marshal, that kind of stuff, and the fees for the Christmas parade for the float, the entry fee would also go toward that, so all the money would be dispersed through prizes and things like that. That's my understanding. If somebody else wants to do it, I mean, it doesn't really matter. If somebody wants to do it as a group thing, that's fine too. But before, you start to build a group together, we needed to see if it was okay. Basically, for the police department to close for Fall Fest, it would be, the same route as normal, basically in front of Dress to Impress, down Rush Street, and then across the front through, Henderson. And then that would be from, 4 to 6 on October 29th. And then, of course, the Christmas parade is always the same, it's November 28th. Lineup would be starting at 5:30 as usual and stop at 6:30. And it would be the same, parade route as it was last year.
28th, is that the Monday after Thanksgiving, I think? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Well, that New London, they had one in daylight hours, and it was sure a lot safer, it seemed like, but do you have any input on it, Blake?
No, I mean, certainly, there's not a legal requirement, we're talking about the 501c3, there's not a legal requirement that anybody has to organize as a 501c3 to put on any kind of charity event. The only benefit to the 501c3, and it's really none of our business, but if you're a volunteer or a group of volunteers and you're doing it on your own, if there is some injury, some damage-causing event, then the volunteers could be personally responsible for it. The protection, or the reason that a 501c3 is beneficial, is you formed a corporate entity and therefore you've got liability protection. The individuals have liability protection. But again, I'm not here to give legal advice to any of the volunteers, but there's not a requirement that this group be a 501c3. And then you touched on the other thing, that if donations wanted to be made, it's beneficial for somebody if they do that those are tax deductible.
I do know, it's been a few years ago, we had a guy he got disoriented and he sped through
Right.
and, hit a kid, so there is a possibility, even here in Overton.
so
Correct.
my next question would be, if that's the case, which, that's a great point, is there a 501c3 still in Overton that would want to do that? And if so, I'm happy to, push that off to them. I just know people have been reaching out, and I hadn't heard of anything. I know a lot of Overton is planning on doing, the Christmas decorations and all that kind of stuff as usual. And I know that they had a, meeting about that, but, whenever we had spoke about the, disbanding of the chamber, that was one of the main concerns was, the Christmas parade and the Fall Fest, which the chamber didn't really have anything to do with the, July 4th celebration or anything like that. I know they had something to do with the, Easter egg hunt, which, just wasn't done this year, but, on that same note, like the email that I sent to the, Chief Poole and to Mayor Hilbert, next year is Overton's, I believe it's the 150th birthday. So we need to start thinking about that and planning that as well. So I mean, there's just things like that we figured we could get a group of volunteers together and seek, input and get people together to do something like that.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I'm just chomping at the bit here at school. Overton Heritage Foundation was created for these events in lack of the Main Street group. I don't know if y'all know the history of that, but we approached the city 4 years ago and asked if we could bring in the Main Street group and was told no because of the audit situation. So we took it upon ourselves as private citizens and business people to start this nonprofit group. We are a nonprofit 501c3. So we can receive grant money, we can receive donations. I would suggest that whatever group's doing whatever, contact Sarah or somebody from the Urban Heritage Foundation and see
Sarah
about
Humphries?
Sarah Humphries,
Okay.
yeah, or Katie or any of those people. There is a formal board, they meet, well, twice a month. There's an open meeting for the public, and then there's a closed meeting for the board members. So I think that's the way to go and consolidate these issues.
And just so the council understands my position in this, I don't refer, individuals to the council necessarily to ask for permission to do anything. What I do is I refer individuals or groups to the council to ask or request permission for us to do road closures. Because as the chief of police, I don't have the authority, you correct me if I'm wrong, except for in emergency situations or law enforcement situations, to make the decision for the city to close these roads down. Preferably, I'd rather never see them closed down, because here's what happens. We gotta provide people for that. But we also want to honor our culture and our history and make certain events happen in this town. So you were referred by me here.
Commission of the road closures. So, with that being said about Roxanne, I don't know if this is something that y'all wanna table for another time, or if you wanna go ahead and approve the dates and times, since that's what they always are, with the stipulation that it's done by 501, or however you guys handle that. It doesn't really matter. I was just, like Chief Bull said, it was recommended that I come and ask you guys about the road closures and give dates and times and that kind of thing.
Denise, would you feel more comfortable coming under the Heritage Foundation with 501c,
I mean, it isn't really,
whatever y'all,
I'm totally fine with that.
so basically, we just need to approve the dates for road closures. Basically, that's what we need to do.
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Money, I'm gonna get your last name down here in a minute. Any we have a motion second, to approve, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, discuss and take action on cemetery maintenance contract. You have the contract before you. I know the subject came up last year, and, whether any of you have been driven by the cemetery lately, but it's bad. How did you say it was, David?
Knee high.
Yeah. It's supposed to be, you see the contract, it's supposed to be maintained, bi-weekly, the first, during this time of year, and, monthly, I think October through March, something like that.
It's actually breaking the city ordinance.
So, brought this up last year. I think the city gets all the calls on how bad it looks, and things that's going on. So what we'd like to attempt is for the city to take it over right now. And, if we find out in a year or so that we can't handle it, then we put it out for bids, but we know the bids will be higher than what they are now. So, whichever way to handle it. And that will entail using part of that, cemetery fund to hire employees, at least half salary, but it would take 2 weeks of work. I think the last page of the, contract, if you look there. under, what page that is, you got a yellow stripe on it, it's what the last should be.
90-day written notice.
90-day written notice to terminate, and I went back over today and I still haven't found that other part again. But if you didn't wanna renew it for next year, you still had to give 60-day written notice, and I think it ends in December, so.
Blake, what do you do on that if it's not, nothing taken care of and the city's actually paying to get this done and it's not getting taken care of?
Well, it's the first I've seen of the contract, but it's essentially a 3-month contract, what you got. I mean, it can be terminated at any time for any reason, no reason, with 90 days notice.
Yeah.
So, there's a laundry list, huge, 2 pages of obligations on the part of the company. If they're not fulfilling it, then we just get out of it. And that's the easy part. If we think we can take it over and it's cost effective to do that, I think we simply provide them a notice as required in the contract and terminate it.
But do you have to pay them that 90 days? You're having to.
He is supposed to keep it up and pay accordingly.
If they're gonna provide the service, you would. I mean, if the next 90 days you're gonna be out there working, you could, but listen, the 90 days is just what's agreed to in the contract. If the parties agree that, hey, we're gonna terminate this, here's 90 days notice, unless you agree to back out quicker, then we can agree to whatever we want to. Now, we wanna put that in writing, because there's a provision in there that says, hey, if you're gonna amend this, it's gotta be in writing. So we can put together a 1-paragraph agreement that says, this amends the termination provision that's effective immediately. So I think it just depends on what they wanna do and what they're willing to do. If they're gonna be out there mowing and weed eating, we gotta pay them.
But we're not obligated unless they do the job right.
That's right.
That's one thing I looked at the contract that we're gonna change is until the job is done. Like he's already put in a receipt for this Friday to get paid, and it hasn't been mowed.
And I'm not signing the check. I'm not.
He got paid, they paid 2 times in August, it wasn't mowed, and they've already been paid. About the
What's
second or
this
third,
I mean, it's not.
this month, and it hadn't been mowed. So if he
Two
agreed to it
summers.
sooner,
For 2 summers in
resolution.
college, I did mow and weed eating, dig graves at the cemetery, Oak Lawn Cemetery. So y'all need some help.
you need a part-time job?
Let me know.
Take you on.
I did the same thing also as far as the grave go.
So unless, well, I look at it, unless the contractor desires to close that out sooner, in agreement with the city to close it out sooner, we're bound to the 90-day written permission.
Yeah. Just
So,
But yeah, 90-day notice, and if they're out there working, pay them. If they're not, we shouldn't pay for something we're not getting.
thank you, sir. What is the wish of the body? Guess we have to have written permission to give 90-day notice.
Or like Blake said, you can get a contract
If
and
he-
present to him.
Yeah, I think maybe the motion is just, make a motion to terminate the contract. And then we can reach out to the contractor, and if we can get this done quicker, we'll write it up in a 1-paragraph amendment.
Okay.
If not, we'll provide them the 90 days notice.
What's the wish of the body? If we do not terminate it, he automatically moves over to another year, as is. So that's up to the council.
So you want a motion to terminate? I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Let y'all know, I talked to Roland, he said he wasn't gonna sign for that, he wasn't gonna put another contract in for that cemetery anyway, when it was due, what he told me.
Okay. The motion is second to terminate the contract with the cemetery contractor. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, like sign, motion passes 5-0. Discuss and take action on still dropping down one. Okay. Discuss and take action on purchase of zero-turn mower for cemetery fund for primary cemetery maintenance used by city employees.
Motion to approve.
Who?
I did.
Second.
Have a motion second, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign, motion passes 5-0. Discuss and take action on resolution to remove old signers from old signers and add new signers to the police seizure fund banking account.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion second, any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, motion passes 5-0. Discuss and take possible action on change the way the burn permits are managed. Mr. Poole, want to address that?
Yeah, Mayor, so what we're running into is, and I have spoken to TJ, about this. I don't get a chance to see the new fire chief ever. But our city, our code of ordinance, or the policy basically says, if somebody wants to burn within the city limits of Overton, that the city is the one to provide the burn permit. Well, problem is I'm getting too many calls where we can't get a hold of anybody with the fire department. They're volunteers, so they have other obligations. And I get that. So what I'm asking, it doesn't say that the permit has to be issued by the fire department. It says the city. I think customarily or in the past, the fire department has been the one to issue it. Well, I think a little common sense just has to play. It's either a windy day where we don't need to be burning and it's dry out. I mean, it doesn't take a fireman to make that decision. It takes a good fireman to know how to put the rascals out once they start to get going real good, and I'm not him. But I think we need to come up with a solution for this for the sake of the citizens. Because Terry Lewis ain't taking the butt shoes for this, I am. So whatever has to be done. If he wants to call up here and declare a no burn day as the Overton Volunteer Fire Department chief, I've got no issues with that. If they, I'm gonna respect their wishes.
Per county.
And I'll let y'all take care of that. I mean, if it's, because even if we don't have a burn ban going on within the city prior to, they were saying, no, you can't burn today because of this. I don't keep up with those. Well, I guess I do keep up with those conditions as emergency management coordinator for the city. I get probably just as much information as they do, if not more. So I don't care how it needs to be done, but if somebody calls me on Saturday, they call Smith County and the Smith County puts it through to me and they say, hey, I want to burn, but I can't get a hold of anybody. Well, I'm gonna tell them to burn if it's safe to burn. We'll write their name down and their address down. There's no criminal violation in that unless we say, unless in the code of ordinance, it specifically says that you'll receive a citation or there'll be some type of fine that says if you burn without a permit. There's just gotta be another way of doing this. And don't get me wrong, I love our fire department, I'm not knocking them, but they're volunteers and they're not always available. We've heard them time and time again, and I wish they were here, but we've heard them time and time again come in and say they're shorthanded. We don't have employees. That was the whole purpose of needing the new tools. well, if we remember. So when we were shorthanded, we can go out there and we can extract people from vehicles or whatnot with the newer upgraded, integrated tools that can be used by one person instead of taking 4 or 5. So I don't care how it wants to be, you know, I won't leave that up to y'all. My suggestion would be that if they call, then, and I'm the one that answers the phone, or Kaylin's the one that, they can go through me, I don't care. But if a citizen of Overton calls up here and they need to burn, they need somebody to be able to tell them that they can, or that they can't.
So how are they usually getting a hold of them? They call the fire department or?
So basically what has to happen right now is they call here during the daytime. And so when we switched over to Smith County Dispatch, and I don't want anybody to get me wrong, it's lovely. Those people over there go above and beyond for us and the citizens over there. But remember, fire stayed with the Russ County side of it. So I've called the chief and now I got a phone, now I got to answer. City managers called the chief and I got to answer on the phone. Nobody calls up here and tells us, hey, if you need a burn permit. Now they did when I first started here. They don't anymore. I don't know what's changed, but something happened. They used to call up and say, hey, if somebody needs a burn permit, this is who you contact. That doesn't happen anymore. So what you have to do is you have to contact Russ County. They call up here, we have to contact Russ County, and they have to be toned out. And Russ County tells them, hey, you know, need somebody to call county, somebody needs a burn permit in Overton. I just think that's a little bit too much.
Mayor, so who do we recommend on the staff recommend on the city side be the point of contact for a burn permit?
Well, you could do the city side, I mean, you could even do it from the office or the police department, one, maybe work together, but then I think surely, I would think the fire department needs to be notified just to know that somebody's burning in the city in case they get a.
Emergency response, I think it needs to be police.
I wanna disagree respectfully, and here's why.
Okay.
Because we either have an emergency or we don't have an emergency.
Yeah.
And if they have an emergency, I don't wanna be in a position to have to notify the fire department if somebody's having, you know, burning leaves in the backyard or whatever. Now, I think there's an exception to everything.
Yeah.
If somebody calls in, and I think this is where we have to take big government out of the picture and just input just a little bit of common sense. If somebody calls me and says, hey, I've been cleaning up with a dozer out here and we're fixing to light a burn pile that's gonna cloud the city of Overton with smoke. Yes, I think the fire department needs to be notified. And I'm gonna notify them. I would probably even at that point call the fire department and say, hey, what's your thoughts on this? You know, are y'all good? Do you have enough people available in case this fire were to get out? Or the wind suddenly picks up? That's happened to me before. You know, if the wind picks up
Yeah.
and catches the next field on fire, what do y'all wanna do?
So my question is, do they need to contact you directly or do they need to contact the Overton Police Department?
That's what's been happening, is they've been contacting other police departments.
Okay.
I don't think Catherine will let through, but nobody on the city side has issued burn permits, and I don't think we need to put that type of responsibility on the staff.
Right.
I think they've got enough to contend with, but I know that if somebody called Kaylin, picked up the phone, and they said they need a burn permit, if I tell Kaylin, hey, if that happens, come get with me or get with the captain, we'll let you know, and then we'll ride it out or do whatever. I don't mind putting that. Not that we don't have enough on our plate, but I would.
Okay.
Well, there's common sense to it, but you guys also provide a full-time service, and if there is any criminal penalties with burning illegal stuff, you guys have the authority and jurisdiction to decide for that, so it's common sense to allow the police department to do that.
Motion to approve
Second.
with the city of with the Overton Police Department being the point of contact.
Second.
You get that written down? So we have a motion to approve the Overton Police Department handling, burn permits, second, do we have any discussion? that all okay? Everybody before we go?
Makes sense to me.
There you go. Two thumbs up on that. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Any opposed, like sign. Motion passes 5-0. Okay, we're down to administration monthly reports. First one being, city manager's report. And, okay.
We've had a lot of, maintenance work and a lot of breaks in the water lines over the last couple of months, but, 4 10-inch mains, that we had, that was a pretty big deal, called for the boil water notice and out of water till the next day. These leaks cost us anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000. These dresser sleeves you put on these, that's if we just have one joint of pipe to replace. These dresser sleeves are anywhere from, depends on where you can find them, from $521 up to $624. And that could change in 3 days, so that's only good for 3 days. And, so there's a lot of cost in that, that's not including your test results cost. So you've got that to look at too. We've got a lot of issues at the sewer plant that we had, same issues that we had last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, same issues. You know, it all takes money. And, we've got a racetrack out there just limping along. It's working about half capacity. And, you know, it takes money to do this, and when you spend money the wrong way, and we still haven't got our sewer plants working the right way, well, then that raises flags with TCEQ. So they'll be here next week to visit with us and let us know all that. As you all know, all these council meetings are YouTube. I mean, everybody watches them, including TCEQ, and, they keep up with below Overton over here. We've gotta have you're supposed to have on these lift stations, you're supposed to have 2 pumps per lift station. We don't. We haven't had for several years. And I'm gonna put this out there, and, you know, if we receive fines on it, that's part of it. I mean, everybody knew this was going on last year, and 2 years ago, and 3 years ago, and 5 years ago. It takes money to fix this. The, JRM lift station's right out here off of 850, right across from the Overton Lake there, kinda catty corner. That pump last year was, I wanna say it was right at 20,000, which now is 30,000. I've done all I can do to try to stretch the dollars as far as we can, and Connie has too. And, you know, we've got some things that we own, like the golf course, that gets thrown in our lap, and if, you know, we're gonna stay within the city code, we have to keep that up. And to keep that up, we have to have lawnmowers. There's been some talk about the lawnmowers that was purchased. OEDC purchased that. OEDC's purchased the golf carts. The city has not purchased that. The city wrote a check, but the city's getting reimbursed for that. So if there's any questions about that, I mean, please ask. When we approve stuff for the fire department, the Overton Volunteer Fire Department, like we did here a while back, last meeting, I believe. And we still have the issues that we have as far as our citizens go in daily operations. We put a lot of risk out there as far as being fined and not having our plant operational, just everyday operation. You know, we've got a lot of problems out there. So I would like to, that's the city manager's report, but I'd also like to address the council. Please keep that in consideration when you're spending money that you don't know where it's coming from. Because nobody asked when they approved the volunteer fire department that, when they already had, I mean, I wasn't against it. But when you already had the jaws of life that would work, until the city got in better finances, keep that in mind. And you gotta stay in operations, and we'll get some fines because of this. But just be prepared, that's the reason. And all these groups, they see when you spend money the wrong way, or what they will consider the wrong way. So just kinda keep that in mind. But that's the city manager.
Don't we have two pumps ordered for that?
We got 2 pumps ordered, we still got several pumps we have to order. But the other thing is, you don't get these pumps in next week. You know, and we couldn't order them last year because we didn't know where we stood. You know, and then now we've done what we've done, and we gotta order them now. I mean, there's no choice. We've got to get these things ordered. And I don't know if we can pay for them or not, but we got them on order. You know, I mean, we've got OEDC, and we got OMDD, and we got the city of Overton, and we're all trying to work as a team to get this place back in operation. It's pretty much in shambles. It's been in shambles for 20 years. And we finally got some people that's trying to work together, some groups trying to work together, that we need to kind of reach out and just not make those sole decisions right there, you know, but kind of reach out and let's talk with each other and say, okay, where do we need to be on this? You know, what can we do? We've got to work together to make this work. If not, we'll be right where we're at. I mean, you know, historically, we're going right down the same road we went down, other than we're getting some lines fixed. But as far as money goes, we're going right down the same road we went to. We've agreed to spend $27,000 at the end of the budget year. Where's it at? You know, so therefore, our tax money doesn't start coming in till January. So therefore, you know, don't be surprised if we have to ask the council, hey, we need a loan. You know, I mean, that's what we've always done up here at the city. But when I got up here a year ago, they were saying we needed a loan. Okay, so we got in there and started running this thing and taking care of business. We didn't borrow no money. We didn't have to borrow no money. How was things being run wrong? Why didn't we come to me and talk to me before we want to spend some money for the fire department? I mean, especially at the end of the budget year. I mean, that's the whole deal. It's not anybody being against it. It's the timing. It's the timing. I mean, look at your own personal checkbooks. Tell me what you do. You know? But there's that to think on, so that's all I have.
Police Department report. Brian, do you have anything to add?
We're still 2 down. One's coming to 26 after we get him trained, and he's gonna come pretty well trained, but I still have an obligation to the city, to get him, you know, acclimated to this area and to this city. He will be residing inside the city, that's a good thing. We have the other one that's gonna start at the academy October 17th, gonna be a real good one. We have entered into a 3-year commitment, as the council voted, or gave me authorization to do, several months back. I think that's gonna help us, we've got a lot of interest. So when you get your police report, as far as statistics, our stats go and everything, keep in mind that we're operating with 2 patrol officers. I'm on 24-hour call, working every other weekend. Captain's working every other weekend. We're we're rolling. You know, I thank God every day for all the help that we have from Smith County, Ark, Russ County, Troop, New London. It's happening, but it's happening with help.
Could I ask you something on okay, so there was a wreck here a while back downtown, and I don't know if the council realizes this or not, but, you said something that the fire department was there, and they was going up to the people that was involved in the wreck
Oh, asking for insurance information.
for insurance
Yeah,
information
and I
to get
think-
reimbursed.
I think Chief Lewis and I need to visit on that because I think there's an appropriate time for everything. I don't think that's the time for it. But I just learned this, here recently. What happens with the fire department response, they have an insurance company and they try to get the insurance information of the people involved in the accident so they can file a claim against that, and then they get refunded, money for, the way it's described to me is essential, so fuel, everything that they would use in doing.
But
that
we
job.
write a check, just so y'all know, we write a check every month for this particular reason. So, and then we gather this information, so just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I try to, I let those guys do their job, I'm appreciative of them. I am cautious because we do get, everybody we hire here at the police department, and everybody, and they don't work for the city, everybody we hire here works for the city. You come to the police department on the public safety side, there's an extensive background check completed. It's not a volunteer situation. Now the state actually verifies through SecureShare, that we contact every agency that any officer has worked for, it's signed off on it. I don't just get to say, you have a job. I have to send this back to the state, and then the state sends me an email that goes into their TPO personnel file saying, you now have permission to proceed with their L1, and that's the paper that we use to hire them. The state gives us permission to do that. They can also decline it. So I'm cautious about the other deal, and that's what the insurance thing, they have a job to do. There's a time and a place for everything, and there's some things that, they may not be around, Mr. Hill.
That may be something you wanna talk about with their team, because they can get that information from their police report.
Exactly, and that's what I said the last
Especially when their jobs provide, legal services.
That's exactly right, and that's what I recommended to my officer the other night that was dealing with it, he called me at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning about it, so, but we still are making progress. Y'all remember, we do still have, we're spending a lot of time right now on our cold case murders, and we've got 2, we wanna get them solved. We're working, hand in hand with the Texas Rangers to get, the May murder solved over there. I've got another plan for another one, so, it's going good, and we're getting where we need to be. I'm excited, optimistically excited, because I think this time next year, I think we're gonna have a brand new, pretty much a brand new police department, and I think we're gonna have a good team. If we can keep them, that's
the hard part.
that's gonna be the trick, and I look to the council for support in that area, because that's not up to me, that's up to y'all. I think we need to do all we can do for everybody, but our public servants out here, we've gotta be able to compete. And we've gotta give them a reason to wanna be here. So, cause I promise you, they can go make more money somewhere else. They didn't sign a contract when they come in here, so, any questions on?
Okay, you have the, Public Works report, what has been done recently. Look at that. Have a Christmas,
OMDD and OEDC provided a lot of funds to all that, like the fire hydrants and the streets, which the mayor already kind of touched base on earlier.
I think you got 4 fire hydrants done, and got three more to do.
Yeah, well, actually, the one up there on the school grounds wasn't a fire hydrant, it was a old fire hydrant that had been taken out, and they didn't put it was just a valve turned off, and there wasn't a blind put on it, and that valve began to leak after a couple of years, or a year, or whatever, and so, it's been doing that for, probably 15 years now, and we've been told that it was a, natural spring, but that natural spring was chlorinated. So we've had that going on for a long time, and that's shame on the school superintendent there.
Could've been good water from a natural spring, you think?
Yeah, chlorinated.
Yeah, the Christus EMS report before you. I still bothered about the reaction time to some of those. I know they're non-life emergencies, but 39 minutes, 23 minutes.
What, medic they call the copy? Well, we got medic 30.
Christ,
Right.
yeah, Jim Spears,
Which is maybe 30, one is the helicopter. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, you're saying it's 30 is the number?
No, 30 is the ambulance, but I was wondering, how do we know if it was air lifting or whatever?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have any clue.
It's 39 minutes there.
I've never seen it on here.
Yeah, that's right.
I had to look on Facebook.
Fire department, we didn't have a report, did we?
No.
Okay, municipal court, has been gone, I'll just have a report on that. And the finances.
I think I beat y'all up with the finances enough. I just want to thank everybody for their help with the budgeting and their patience with me while I was getting through all this. I do appreciate it from everybody. Now we're working toward the end of the fiscal year, which comes up at the end of September, to get everything lined out in the finances for that. And hopefully, once that is done, we still have another month or so that we'll take to get everything wound up and get all the reports done. I've had one public records request for the cash reconciliations, which I've been working toward. I'm not completely finished. So I'm hoping that once that is finished, in the name of transparency, if it is legally allowable, I would like to put that out there on our website so that you'll be able to see that cash reconciliation is being done, where your money's going, how it's being spent, that we are looking to make sure that what we're doing in our system is matching up to what we're doing in the bank, and there's no questions about anything that's going on for the past year. That's all I have.
You have any questions, Connie? Okay, future meetings, I believe the next meeting is gonna be October 20th. Regular meeting, I hope we don't have to have a special call between this and anything. So, everyone think they can make that one? Cool by that, ready? I see you looking at your phone. You or your daughter's out there. Okay. Any other excuses? Okay. One more motion.
Adjourned.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor, raise your hand. And motion passes 5-2.